How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. I hope everybody's doing well. And as always, I appreciate everybody that takes time to watch my videos. Imagine some kind of natural disaster happened in your area. Whether it be floods, or a tornado ripping through your city, or a lot of damage from a hurricane. And then also we can go back to what they called the Summer of Love, where a news reporter from CNN, standing in front of a burning building, said most of the protests were peaceful. Of course we know that was a load of bullshit. Businesses were looted, businesses were burnt down, people were injured, people were killed, and people needed to be able to protect themselves because the police were able to do it. But then you had these Democrat governors and these Democrat mayors across the country saying due to local emergencies, gun shops and gun stores must close down and nobody could purchase guns or ammo until further notice. And as a lot of you know, that really did happen. Now, of course, they got the shit suit out of them, and most of them lost. I guess the Democrats never heard of the Constitution, especially the Second Amendment. So lawmakers in Florida recently passed a bill, and Governor Ron DeSantis signed it into law, that local governments cannot close down gun shops and forbid people from buying guns and ammunition during times of emergencies. Last Wednesday, May 28th, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law that stops local governments from restricting the purchases of guns and ammo during what they call local states of emergency. The bill was House Bill 625 and was sponsored by two Republican female lawmakers in Florida. Their names are Monique Miller and Debbie Mayfield. And this bill repeals Section 870.044 of the Florida statute. And like I mentioned earlier, it puts a stop to local governments restricting guns and ammunition purchases under the state's automatic emergency measures. And this new bill that was signed into law goes into effect immediately in Florida. And in Florida, during the vid and the 2020 riots after the death of George you-know-who, and also after Hurricane Helene, Democrat city councils pretty much suspended the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens in Florida because those city councils enacted a state of emergency. And of course we know all of that is unconstitutional. And here's a little bit more about those restrictions. It prohibited the sale or any display for sale of firearms and ammunition, and the intentional possession of a firearm in a public place by any person other than a law enforcement officer or a military service member acting in official performance of their duties. But whether or not you've been in a natural disaster or near a riot, you know that the police are spread thin. And now that this is taken care of, there are other things that Florida lawmakers need to work on. Florida needs to repeal the ridiculous red flag laws and the age restriction on adults that are 18 and 19 and 20 years old that cannot purchase a firearm. And also the big thing is open carry. I lived in Florida most of my life, but unforeseen circumstances, I had to leave about 5 years ago. Florida is a very gun-friendly state. It's a great state to live in. It's got one of the best governors out there in Ron DeSantis. And I still call myself a Floridian. And I hope one day to move back there. And not too long ago, they finally got permitless carry. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comment section. Have you ever in your lifetime dealt with restrictions like this, where you lived in a city or state where a governor or a mayor or a city council restricted your right to keep and bear arms by closing down gun shops so you couldn't purchase any ammunition or any firearms at all until the state of emergency was done? And also, if you guys enjoy videos like this and you also want to help the channel out and help it to continue to grow, I just ask you to take a few seconds of your time to like, share, and subscribe and hit those post notifications. I really would appreciate it. And I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.